In the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Japanese street racers became obsessed with the desire to drive as fast as possible. This select group of individuals modified their cars to such extent that many became one-off custom creations, capable of reaching speeds of up to 300 kilometers per hour. Their preferred racing ground was the Wangan. Bayshore Route, Route B, Wangasen, or simply the Wangan, is one of Japan's most infamous highways. It is a section of the bigger expressway system in Tokyo. As Japan was moving forward from the aftermath of World War II, it was becoming apparent that with limited land to build on, an effective and well-developed system of highways was going to be needed for greater traffic efficiency in the capital city of Tokyo. Enter Tokyo's Shuto Expressway. Shuto Kosokudoro literally means Metropolitan Expressway, as well as Capital City, a well-fitting name for Tokyo's flagship system of toll expressways. The original construction of the Shutoku began in 1962, paving roads for highway travel between the Kyobashi exit in Chuo, Tokyo, and the Shibara exit in Minato, Tokyo. Since its inception, 280 kilometers of highway have been added, totaling to 320 kilometers of smooth gravel goodness. This complex highway system requires all drivers to pay a toll to drive it, has a standard speed limit of 60 kilometers per hour, except for the Bayshore route, which climbs to 80 kilometers per hour, and the Inner Circle route, which drops to 50 kilometers per hour, and consists of elevated roads, bridges, circular routes, radial routes, and underground tunnels. It is in the Shutoku that the Bayshore route, or Wangan, lives in. The Wangan gets its Bayshore name from the part of Tokyo it covers, running adjacent to Tokyo Bay from the Kanazawa ward of Yokohama in the west to the northeast city of Ishikawa in the Shiba prefecture. The Wangan consists of 62.1 kilometers of undersea tunnels and bridges that bypass central Tokyo and connects the artificial islands lining the western shore of Tokyo Bay. During daytime, the Wangan is extremely congested, but in the late hours of the night, it becomes a paradise of open roads for top-speed racing. The essence of top-speed racing is essentially setting the fastest speed on a given course. In the earlier days, top-speed racing occurred primarily in the Tomi Expressway. However, towards the 1980s, the attention turned to the Wangan. The Wangan is a road unlike any other in Japan. It features straight sections of road that go on for kilometers. Sure, there are some gradual corners towards the beginning and end of the route, but for the most part, it is a straight road. Additionally, since the route is heavily used every day, Japanese highway authorities always keep the pavement in excellent conditions to minimize accidents. This means no potholes, no trash, and clear guidelines. Alongside great lighting for nighttime travel and aquatic tunnels, is the perfect scenario for top-speed racing. We've already covered toge racing, which primarily revolves around corner maneuverability and drifting ability. However, the racing that occurs in the Wangan is all about one thing: top speed. As per usual for street racing, drivers usually head out late at night to avoid traffic and congestion. Races between two cars end when one car reaches the finish line or one of the cars gets so far ahead that the pursuit car can no longer see the taillights of the car in front. Nonetheless, whether a driver was doing a solo run or racing against someone else, the ultimate goal is to set the top speed record. This notion became so prevalent that the word Wangan became synonymous for top speed racing. The racing on the Wangan often reached 250 to 300 kilometers per hour, and maintaining these speeds requires highly tuned cars in all aspects, from engine to suspension to body, etc. For that reason, the machines that raced the Wangan were often cars with extremely high tunability, ranging from the Skyline R33, R34 to the Supra MK3 and MK4, the Mazda RX-7 FD, and the Honda NSX. However, more exotic cars such as Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and Porsche were also seen racing the Wangan. In fact, one of, if not the most famous car to have raced the Wangan is a Porsche 930 Turbo, nicknamed the Blackbird. Regardless of the car being used, most of the machines that raced the Bayshore route were maxed out on the tuning. Modifications were based on performance enhancements for top speed. This means highly tuned suspensions and aftermarket aerodynamic kits to keep the car stable at 300 plus kilometers per hour. Of course, reaching these speeds meant that the engines had to be extremely well tuned, with the average car racing a Wangan making 500 to 600 horsepower. Some drivers spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to perfect their cars for top speed performance. Pushing 300 kilometers per hour in the 80s, when Wangan racing was at its peak, was not an easy feat, let alone sustaining that speed for minutes over the course of the night. Even some of the exotic, high-performance cars of that era didn't come close to these speeds. This only goes to show the amount of engineering and performance innovation that went into the cars designed for top-speed racing around the Wangan. Once again, reality gave birth to fiction, and as toge races gave inspiration to Initial D, races on the Wangan inspired a manga, anime, and even video games. Have you ever heard of Wangan Midnight? It is a manga and subsequent anime series that was directly inspired by events on the Wangan. The roots of Wangan Midnight are from the top speed racing that often occurred on the Wangan. The story follows the life of third-year high school student Aiko Asakura, who falls in love with the cursed blue fur lady Z S30, known as the infamous Devil Z, battling and racing his arch-nemesis Tatsuya Shima, a doctor who drives a black Porsche 964 Turbo, also known as the Blackbird. The anime follows Aiko's midnight racing and top speed adventures alongside the Wangan, battling for superiority against the Blackbird and any opponent that came by. The manga and anime were huge hits worldwide, and numerous films were released as well. Additionally, a vast array of video games were developed. Some of these include Wangan Maximum Tune, which is directly inspired from Wangan Midnight and includes an amazing soundtrack, and Wangan Midnight, directly inspired from the Wangan Midnight anime. The popularity of Wangan Midnight was unprecedented, and you can trace its roots to the real-life top-speed racing that was happening in the Wangan. The land of the rising sun is extremely rich in car culture, from manufacturing some of the most legendary cars in the scene, to mountain racing in the toge, extreme car modifications, and home to legendary tuning houses. The Wangan is yet another addition to the ever-growing car culture of Japan. Enthusiasts racing the Wangan did it for the thrill of setting the top speed record. However, the feat of setting the top speed went beyond just driving. People had to develop complex tuning and custom manufacturing for their cars to handle the demands of high speeds. Without knowing it, racers were building the foundation of extreme JDM modifications that later became prevalent throughout the world and gave birth to some of Japan's most insane tuning houses. One racing group in particular who raced the Wangan in the 80s modified their cars to such extremes that their cars became the epitome of what extreme JDM tuning performance is all about. They are known as Midnight Club, and the Wangan was their home course during the 80s. But this is a topic for a different video, so stay tuned, and as always, thank you for watching.